of the gastric sleeve procedure. Um, I wanted to come on and do a YouTube video for those who are considering doing this procedure or one like it, but also for those who possibly are a month or two out and are wanting just another outlet or another example of what you could be looking forward to post-surgery. I found YouTube videos to be extremely helpful before, during, and after the surgery. It's been an experience that has been wonderful, frightening, questionable, all mixed in together. So I just wanted to kind of come on here and give you another person to kind of respond to, or at least listen to, on my experience with the surgery. It has been wonderful for me. I've got to tell you, it's been one of those things in my life, as it is probably with most everybody listening to this video, one of those things we've struggled with our whole lives. Mine started right after high school into college. And started gaining weight at that point, and where it was up and down throughout those years. 10 years later, I was at my highest, which was around 370 pounds. If this is successful and people really want to hear from me, I'll for sure put on some before and after pictures to kind of show you where I was and where I've come from. I've been down to 220, 230, and right back up to 360 and 370. I've had diets that have worked in the past. I've tried, I've done and been successful with most of them. I did Weight Watchers, was really the only one that never really caught on with me. I would just eat a lot of the food they would tell me, and use extra points, and try to tell myself I was exercising and gaining more points, but never really worked for me. Atkins was the first thing that really worked well for me. I went down to the 260 mark, felt pretty good. But then just went right back up to 370. Then I did HCG. HCG was to me, this amazing thing that I could do, and I like structure and regimented routines, so it wasn't a big deal. I ate ground beef, hot sauce, and lettuce for every meal of the day, and just was fine with it for a while, but found it hard to take 6 weeks off and then do it again. That was my problem. So I got down to about 247 with that, but then went right back up to 369 pounds, which is where I weighed December 8th, 2011, when I decided to go in for a consultation. Anyway, just thought I would kind of jump right into my story, and hope this isn't too long-winded for you. On December 8th, 2011, I decided to go see what it was all about. I'm deathly afraid of needles. I've never had my blood taken before, this was something that I just was never ever going to do. But I made a promise to my wife that 4 years ago, that after 5 years, if I couldn't do this on my own, that I would do the surgery. Never in a million years thinking that I would actually go through it. If there's anybody that's in the same boat as I am, I don't touch needles. I don't talk about needles. I don't talk about blood. I don't look at blood. I look away. The doctor shows when they show too graphic of a material. So this was something I never thought I would ever consider. I was kind of duped into going to the consultation. I was told that there was no needles that I would be cognizant of. I really thought, and was told, that I would go in and I could be knocked out, gas or whatever it might be, and then they could do all the work they wanted to do, and then I would wake up and everything would be gone. Looking back on it, that was so naive. I can't believe I would think that was a possibility. But once I started thinking about the benefits of the surgery and the benefits of what my life would be afterwards, each little thing they would lay on me about, oh yeah, you have to do this and you have to do that, I started just thinking, I've already gone this far, let's talk about it some more. And had I gotten the full dose of what was going to happen to me, I would have never said yes to this. I'll just be honest with you. I'm just so afraid of needles that it is something I couldn't ever imagine. If someone would have laid out the plan for me, what I would have said to that, I would have walked away in a heartbeat. So I can tell you now, being the world's most afraid person of needles, blood, hospitals, that you can, if you are like me, you can do this. You would. There's just nobody that's more afraid of needles than me. I mean, I don't get my blood sugar taken. I don't get penicillin shots. I don't, I'm not around. I can't look at an IV in someone else's arm. Um, I can much less see it go in. So, feel free to ask me about how I got over that. If this is something that if that's stopping you from doing this amazing, life-saving, mind-altering surgery. So anyway, December 8th came around, and I decided to go into a local, highly regarded doctor here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I don't know if it's okay to say his name here, so I'm not going to. But I was pleasantly surprised by my consultation. I did a lot of homework before about the different procedures: lap band, gastric bypass, gastric sleeve, and those of like that. And I didn't want the foreign objects to be in my stomach, so I immediately didn't go with the lap band. Wasn't interested at all at monthly or quarterly adjustments to the saline that's in the ring. Wasn't going to be a part of that. Gastric bypass, to me, I know some people have had it in the past, way early, 20 years ago, and they didn't have a very good experience with it. Actually, somebody I grew up with lost their mother due to it, and to me, that just stained my mind to where I wasn't going to do that. So gastric sleeve was that new option, or fairly new option, that I thought was something I would look at. If basically it takes 70 to 80% of your stomach out. This particular doctor makes it smaller than most due to swelling and things that other doctors don't really take into effect. And I really wanted to make a permanent change, and I wasn't concerned about the fact that it wasn't reversible. I also like the fact that it didn't detach my stomach and move things out. It simply took my stomach and made it a sleeve. So that's why I decided to go with that. And when I walked in, I pretty much had my mind made up of what I wanted to do. And they just, thought it was a good plan, looked at my vital signs. I guess you can say I've been blessed. The fact that I've lived my life, mostly my adult life, severely overweight, and have not had diabetes or high blood pressure problems. Again, I say I don't have diabetes or type 2 diabetes. I never got checked. I just never really had any symptoms bad enough to send me to a hospital to ever have to go through the blood process. So I went in, my blood pressure was very high. I think it was something insanely high, or something where I should certainly have been on medication. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it wasn't good. Both numbers in the hundreds. And I remember looking at the chart when the nurse left. I looked up on my iPhone what the chart was, and it was in these terrible ranges that I felt immediately like I shouldn't be here. I should be in a hospital somewhere. But I knew that I was in a very stressful job, that I was contributing to that, plus just been in terrible shape. I've been an athlete all my life. I think that saved me, that I was in better shape than others that were 370 pounds, if that could even be possible, to be in any kind of good shape. But it was the right time to do it. And once I kind of figured out I'd have to go in and get my blood taken beforehand, I was fortunate enough that my insurance covered me right away. I was over a 40% BMI. Which was I needed no history of doctor visits and diets or anything. I was accepted right away. Now I wanted to have my surgery over the Christmas break. Insurance kind of went back and forth there for a little bit, so I wasn't able to have my gastric surgery until the end of January 26th of 2012. It gave me a lot of time to think about it, and I don't know how I blocked out my problems as far as the needles and everything. I waited to the absolute last second to have my blood work done, and went in for the surgery January 26th. And that was a very interesting time for me. I've never been in the hospital myself. much less anything close to a surgery. I remember traumatic experiences as a kid, having to go get stitches a couple of times. I had some under my chin and on top of my head, just being a rough kid. So those are the only real times I've ever been. I've never had a cavity or anything like that to even go to a doctor. So to a dentist. So it was real interesting. The first time I went in to have my stomach scoped, they gave me some Valium type pills to take. I was sadly disappointed that I was cognizant and awake when they were going to take my blood and to put an IV in. Actually, they didn't take my blood that day, so it was not what I was ready for. I took headphones and an iPhone in. I sat there. They brought in the first guy to come do that. I told them how incredibly uncomfortable and upset I was. Wasn't to a state where I was being rude or anything, but just I was not happy about this and was not ready for it, but I knew I had to do it. So they brought over a nurse that had been known to be very nice and polite and easy on people with this issue that I had. She came in, and I was very fortunate. She was wonderful. I put my headphones on. I closed my eyes. My foot was shaking. I was just, go do it. Let's get it over with. She put it in. Of course, it was nothing terrible at all. I just don't like knowing where a needle's going to go in and knowing that arm at that point is where this is going to happen. Anyway, make a long story short, I was within 20 minutes after that. I was, kind of taken down this hallway, put on the table. Nice lady comes in and says, see that clock over there? Let's count the seconds. Before the 10th second, I think before the 3rd second I could count, I was out. I woke up after the scope, a little bit of a sore throat, but everything was out of me. I had no issues, and I went home. And knowing that was pretty much the trial run for me, that was what it was going to be. I was going to get an IV. I was going to get knocked out. I was going to wake up and the surgery was going to be gone. I felt pretty comfortable. What I didn't understand is that I was going to wake up after the surgery with lots of things have been done to me, with an IV still in and blood. And I'll go through that later. I guess this is going to kind of be a long video, so I apologize. Skip forward if you want to get to where it's been lately. In fact, I might just say once I'm done with surgery, I might just do another video of kind of where I'm at now. We'll see. It's already 12 minutes, and I don't know how much more you guys can take of this. So surgery came. Knew what I was going to have to do. I knew I was going to have an IV. I wasn't ready for it. I didn't want to do it, but I knew I had to, so just put a brave face on. My wife was at my side the whole way, like a little kid being taken in for a cavity, I would assume. I needed the support, so I brought it. I remember getting there at 5:30 in the morning, the day of the surgery, not really knowing how this thing was going to go. I took the Valium that they gave me. Again, really, I guess just to my size, it wasn't anything that it didn't really help me all that much. So the shocking part that I didn't like was within 5 seconds of putting the gown on, someone was walking in my room saying, "Oh, the IV is coming." So, I kind of smirked at my wife and said, "I'm here. What else can I do?" So they came in, and the first surprise that, again, if they had told me about it, I probably would have walked away, was they weren't going to put the IV in my arm. They were going to put it on top of this very sensitive skin area that I was absolutely not ready to have in me at all. I mean, it was that to me are those areas I wasn't ready for a needle, and it was painful for me because it wasn't like the one in the arm for the scope. It was painful, meaning it was like 5 seconds of pain. It wasn't that much. I didn't like it. I still don't really know. It's not something I would do again. So anyway, that went in, and then I waited for about 5 hours before my turn. We went to a holding room, and it was a very surreal experience. There were people in that room that weren't there for gastric. They were there for any other surgeries. It was there were certain things about that experience that made it easier to do what I was going to do, and I'll tell you about a little bit of those. One, to the right of me, they just had these little screens, that were, in these different pods that were holding people, and the woman to my left it was the first surgery of the day. She was having a 2-hour procedure. So I was supposed to go in at 8:30 in the morning, and I knew that until she was taken, I wasn't going to be until 2 hours after that, and she wasn't taken until around 9:30. So I knew it was going to be 11:30 minimum before I went in, which really I wasn't happy about. But what am I going to do? I have this IV in my arm, and I'm here. I can't walk out now. The real sobering part of this experience for me was next to us on my right was a lady that was being told by her doctor that the cancer had come back. It was affecting her bones. There's nothing they can really do about it. This surgery wasn't really going to be a saving measure for her in any way. And I was shocked to hear it. We couldn't believe we were hearing that in an open room like that. It made you sit there and realize, and it made me immediately realize that, yeah, while I really don't like sitting here and, I am dealing with being overweight, which certainly would end my life much faster than being skinny, but I don't have cancer. So it was that part alone just it just made me and my wife think totally different about what was going on. So finally, this haze of what was about to happen to me, 11:30, 10:30 rolls around. I can't remember exactly the time. They come and get me. And that was, what else are you going to do? I already had an IV in my arm. I knew that next time I'm seeing everybody, this is what it is. So my only rule was, I knew a couple of things here. So let's get into the good stuff about the surgery. You've been told that, whoever doctor is, that you have to go. Mine was 1 week prior to the surgery of liquids only, and try your best not to make them sugary liquids. I didn't do this at all, and this was something that was just the old me could not do that. So my thing that I did is that I would drink liquids all day long, but I was going to eat one meal a day, and I was going to eat it in the middle of the day. They tell you that you need to do this to shrink the liver. I read things where people didn't, ate a big steak dinner the night before and had no issues. So again, in my head and the way I used to eat, it was this, that'll be me. I can do whatever I want. So, but I thought I'd be a good guy and drink all day long and eat this massive meal. And it was this restaurant behind me that made boneless chicken wings that were the best things I've ever had. And I just tried it and was like, wow, I'll never get to eat these again. So I ordered enough food for 2 or 3 people, easy. And I didn't finish it all, but tried my dang best to do it. And it was, now I look back on it, I'm so embarrassed of that, and just internally feel so bad that I was at that moment in my life that I would do that. But I up until the second day, I really only did about a day and a half of liquid only. And the first moment of what I did set in when the doctor came in and said, we looked at your blood test. This is while we were waiting. We looked at your blood test and we think that you could possibly have fatty liver disease. While we have you opened up, we'd like to take a sample of your liver, since we're already in there, and make a diagnosis. And I made sure that it was, or I'm at as much as I could from a hotel, from a hospital bed, that it was covered by my insurance. And so I signed the waivers to have them do that, and that'll come in later into play into my story. So I confessed to the doctor that I was not good on my diet, and that hopefully that was the reason why. I didn't really tell him about all the food. I just said, no, I drank a lot of Gatorade, and I know I wasn't supposed to do that, and I snacked here and there. Nothing close to the reality, which was I had a massive feast of chicken and fries and fried foods and whatever, ranch, blue cheese, everything, every day. But I was fortunate I didn't have fatty liver disease. Just down the road, I didn't have it. But I'll tell you about why they kept me a little longer. So they take me in. I go into this room that is so barbaric. It's definitely not the room that they ever show you. It's you walk in, and the good news is you're only aware of these surroundings for a very few minutes, for a few seconds. They take you and you're ready to go, and then there's this massive team of people. I didn't even see the surgeon that I worked with there. They just put me in everything stainless steel, and it's this, you feel like you're in this Resident Evil kind of situation where what's really happening? Am I still in America? This is really weird. The anesthesiologist walks over and says, okay, this is about to happen. Are you ready? I need you to turn to your side. You turn to your side and then you're gone. You're out. I mean, this thing takes seconds. So you're literally probably cognizant of your surroundings for about 1 minute in total time. I told my wife I wanted to know one thing. I knew that with my eating, I might have had an enlarged liver that would stop them from getting in. So I wanted to know one thing. I didn't want to know hi, hello, anything. I wanted everything went okay. I wanted success. I wanted some immediate gratification that they opened me up and they were able to do the surgery and it went fine. That's what I wanted to know. Problem is you wake up and your family's nowhere around. So I woke up with a tube down my throat, and of course now I look at that, and before I looked at that and thought, if I ever get to that moment, there's no way I'll be okay with a tube down my throat. I have a terrible gag reflex. There's no way. You're so out of it with the drugs that you don't even, I didn't even realize that I had something in my throat. I was trying to talk. Excuse me, it's even making me upset now, thinking about it. And I remember thrashing kind of back and forth and groaning, and they're trying to get me out of it a little bit. Hey, just wake up, Dominic. Here you go. And I'm like, I'm trying to tell him, get this. I'm not moving my arms. I'm just moving back and forth. I'm like, get this out of my throat. And the nurse looks at the doctor and says, "Can I pull this out?" So he says yes, and he pulls it out. I don't remember feeling it, but they pulled it out, and I just remember groaning back and forth, just really upset. Not knowing where I was and really not even knowing to ask how did it go. I just was really trying to figure out what's going on. The nurse really wasn't talking to me much. She was staring at a screen. Again, I was in like a post-op situation where there were lots of beds of people, and I realized that later, but at first I really didn't know what was going on. So she was staring at my blood pressure numbers, and that's what she tried to keep telling me, and I wasn't really comprehending it. I don't think was, I started asking, how did it go? How did it go? Hey, everything's fine, everything's fine. I didn't really feel like she was really telling me anything more than just settle down. I didn't know, I don't think she really even knew if the surgery went well or not. She was really concerned about making sure that I was coming out of the anesthesia okay. And finally, when I understood what was kind of going on, she told me that my blood pressure needed to go down before I could leave the post-op area. And the worst part about it, and I'll try to make this quick because now we're coming up on 24 minutes, is that there was a gentleman next to me that sounded like he'd been smoking cigarettes for 44 of his 45 years, or that he started smoking, and he was so miserable in his throat, and he was trying to talk, and it was making me very uncomfortable. So I was trying to tell can you just tell this guy to stop? The nurses are trying to tell him, quit coughing, don't whatever. I didn't like that part. I don't really remember much. I don't remember being wheeled into my room. I don't think I was out for it. Finally, when things got better, maybe I start to remember. I remember being taken back in there and seeing my family for the first time, and you don't feel any pain. You don't feel anything. You don't even realize what's happened. And then you get in there, and they've been briefed by the doctor, the surgeon, that everything went very well and everything was fine. And so they tell me, and it's wonderful having your family there, and everything was good. So. Now I'm going to probably stop this video here in a minute about just going through the surgery and what happened. So let me give you about 4 or 5 more minutes of what happened in the hospital, and then I'll try to post another video about what life's been before and after through these 4.5 months since it's happened. So you get in there, everything is good. You've got an IV. I had a catheter in my stomach they put right in. It's got this ball attached to it of medicine. and the catheter that goes through kind of wheels around to all the incisions that you have and gives you this, this numbing effect, if you will. So that's there, and you see that, and that's kind of weird. You get your IV in, that's kind of weird. You get saline and sugar and all this kind of stuff. What you need to understand about this is that you will have your blood sugar taken every couple of hours, your blood taken every 4 hours. I assume it's all of this will be somewhere around those time frames. I hated it. You're only being given a sugary saline substance for nourishment, and they don't really know how your body's going to affect it. Anyway, it was interesting. I hated every minute of that. 3 pricks every 4 hours, insulin if I needed it. Didn't like it. The next day, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to get out of there. I knew that 11 o'clock on the next day is when I should be checking out. My surgeon came in and talked to me, said everything's looking fine. We're going to, in the morning, we'll come take a look. The morning shows up. Everything was fine. You get up and you walk around. I remember just wanting to wet my mouth because you can't eat anything or drink anything. So I wanted to wet my mouth as I'm walking up and down the hallway, because you got to walk. Walk as soon as you can. Push the limits a little bit. Walk. Get active. These little things they put on your feet are great, but when you get home, you just got to be ready to walk. So just be ready for that. Walk as much as you can. Get out and go to the bathroom. It's hard, but stretch. Once you're in this mode and you're laying down, you want to stretch and get up. You're going to feel that. So you want to definitely want to get up and walk. But I remember the next morning, my blood pressure again was very high. And once I got past the 12 o'clock mark, I was ready to go home and wanted to do the rest of this from home. And they wouldn't let me go because of my blood pressure. And I lost my marbles. I really did. My surgeon was off that day, and they just directed them to keep me another night. I went ballistic. I couldn't handle it. My poor wife was just sitting there listening to me just lose my mind. You set this, this is how far I have to deal with this moment, and this is how far I can go. And I got to that point with catheters and IVs and blood and this, and I was done. I got to that point. It wasn't until 5 o'clock that the surgery center got a hold of my surgeon, and she called me and told me, "I'm not letting you go." And I said, I think I might have said, "What's the point? I get more upset every second I'm here. My blood pressure's not going to go down." And she says, "Well, Dominic, I'm not letting you go because I'm not going to send you home with issues. I've got to see your blood pressure go down." Finally, after talking to me like I was a 3-year-old kid, which, by the way, I was acting like one, she made a deal with me. She's going to check my signs in an hour. And if my blood pressure has gone down, I can go home. So I said, if that's a deal. So I wrapped myself, or had my family wrap me in every blanket they could find. I wanted to be warm and calm. I basically wrapped up my face to where you couldn't see me, and I laid still for an hour till the nurse came in. I didn't respond to anybody asking me questions. I sat there as warm, calm, still as I possibly could. As soon as they came in, I got nervous, and I thought, oh, I'm losing it again. I hear my blood pressure is going to go up. So about 30 minutes after they took the blood pressure, they came in, told me what my numbers were. I had no clue if that was up or down, but they said, "Good news is you're going home." So by 7 o'clock that night, about 8 or 9 hours after I thought I'd be gone, they sent me home. And that was interesting. You're really walking very gingerly, and you kind of want to be slumped over because these incisions are here, and you kind of stretch up. I would just recommend you stand up a little bit and just get used to that, because that's as I talk about in the next video how it goes, you're going to see that you're going to need to be as mobile as you can, and definitely try to use the restroom as much as you can too, so that they don't have to do anything else to you. But anyway, that's my story of how I got from from thinking about doing the surgery to doing it. I can tell you now that I've lost 100 pounds, 101 to be exact. Today's date is June 21st. So I'm just short of my 5-month mark. I've lost 100 pounds. I'm down to 268. I am much heavier than I thought I would be at this point. I really wanted to be around 227. It comes off so quick at the beginning, but I will explain to you in the next video why I think I've plateaued. I've only lost probably 10 or 15 pounds in the last 45 days, but there's a significant reason for that, and it's not a bad one. Anyway, what I could tell you, thank you for sticking this out for 30 minutes. Hopefully you've just jumped to the end of this thing. I'm sorry if you're wanting to know more about the post-op stuff. I'll post a video right after this. I just don't know what YouTube will let me post. So anyway, do the surgery. These panics that I would have that I would never get to eat again, and I would never get that full sensation that I always strived for, and I would eat myself into this position of being so full that there's some kind of gratification to that. I don't even remember what that was like, but I know that was the thought process. You'll go through these things after you're done. You'll see it, you'll feel it, you'll panic because you'll see the foods that you want to eat, and your old self will say, I'm sad I can't do that anymore. It goes away completely. I was in Chicago last night. I ordered a small pizza at one of these deep dish places because they didn't order it by the slice. I looked at this monster piece of mozzarella, cheese, and pepperoni. It's only that big, that big, but it's that thick. Didn't eat one piece, at all. But it was what I wanted to eat because that's what I do. So I took home this small piece of pizza that says it serves 1 or 2. Would have fed me for a week, if not more. It's got to be 5 pounds of just cheese and crap. Crap. That's what it is. Took it to the hotel room, and I was like, the smell, and I realized I spent $15 on this thing. But I did it. I got to go out to eat. I ordered this pizza and took a picture of it and sent it home and said, look what I'm eating. But I know that I ate less than 1 piece of pizza, and I still was okay. Anyway, you're going to get to the point where you are so thankful that you are no longer wanting to eat all those things, that it is so worth it. Everything that you've ever hoped and dreamed, everything. If you're like me, you sat there and said, just, if you're religious, I am, God, take away my want to eat. I don't want to eat anymore. I don't want to eat the stuff that I have anymore. Well, guess what? It goes away. I'm 5 months into it. Could it come back in 2 years? It might. But I'm telling you right now, I look at what my 20-month-old daughter eats, 21-month-old daughter eats. She eats about as much as I do, if not a little bit more. And I have no issues with it whatsoever. I'm so thankful that I did this. It is the best thing that's ever happened to me. I've been blessed to where I have not had any issues. There's not a food, well, there's a couple foods I can't eat. Can't eat onions, red onions. I never was an onion eater before. Garlic, unfortunately, doesn't sit well with me. But I've heard others talk about how they can't eat breads and things like that. I eat bread whenever I want to. Obviously in drastically different proportions of the bites themselves and overall proportions. But I think I'm eating like a normal person that controls their weight easily does. I'm definitely not the person who can eat a half a pizza or a pizza to myself anymore and not gain weight. I simply just don't eat that much. But I'll explain in the next video what I'm eating and kind of way how it's happened. So guys, this is 34 minutes of a story that I've told a couple of times to the people that are closest to me, anybody who kind of really wants to know about the surgery. There's so many videos out here. There's a series of them by Big Nick. Big Nick, if you're out there, brother, your videos really helped. They really helped, man. And, so whatever. Yeah, sorry. I can't tell you how wonderful everybody on YouTube has been in helping people like me. I thank you so much for sharing what you have, and really you don't understand the lives you changed by posting things on a stupid website that could really help people out. So sorry to get all emotional on you there, but your life changes, and there's people to thank. And you know Big Nick, I've never talked to you. I think I might have posted a thing or two on your YouTube pages, but you really helped me and helped my family. So there are several out there also that really helped out, and just thank you. And I really hope that anything I can share can help anybody else that's out there. So I might cut this, man. This is kind of embarrassing, so I apologize. But I can just tell you guys is just do it. It's the best thing that you'll ever do. You'll be normal. You'll eat normal. You'll still go out to dinner. You'll still drink and eat what you want. But it's just going to be what you've always dreamed of, being able to be a normal person that can go to a restaurant or go to your kitchen and eat what I think we're all intended to do, and that's eat normal. And we have, you and I and everybody that's watching this video that's thinking about this surgery or has done it, we know what we can't do, and this surgery allows you to do it. Mine does, at least the gastric sleeve. It's irreversible. I won't have a stomach that allows me to be the bad person I was before. And the good news is I have zero want to do it. And again, thank you to everybody on YouTube that's posted your experiences, good and bad. They've been extremely helpful to me, and I could probably speak for a lot of us. Thank you so much. Big Nick, you're the man, dude. Thanks so much for everything you did for me and your videos, and I can just hope that I can have the results that you did, and really appreciate the time. Thanks, everybody. I'll talk about the post-op and diets and all that kind of good stuff later. Take care. Bye.